Hi everyone, this is Pamela, and for the ones who don't know me, I am from Venezuela. I am 32 years old. And today's video is about a storyteller. I'm going to be talking about my experience in a job environment that I had in the past, like 2 years ago, and in another country where I was living back then. And as an immigrant, I have to clarify first before starting with the story that it's a really difficult life, especially when you are on your own and people is not really open to foreign, people. And I am a very friendly person, and when I see that someone is attacking me or just being kind of negative, I just prefer to walk away and just not to deal with the person anymore. Because like it's not even worth to waste your energy into that person if they are not even willing to open themselves into you. So I'm going to straight to the point where I'm going to talk about, first of my profession. I am a teacher, and I have always had experience in working with students who are adults, teenagers, and when it was kids, they were from, I don't know, 9 years old until 12. So it is kind of like easier to work with these, ages because they are very conscious. And when you say an instruction, is really easy for them to follow up. But when it comes to children that are in nursery and they're 3 year old, it's almost like they're toddler. It is a completely different thing. So I at that point I was in a situation where I needed money and I had to work and I was open to new experiences and new ages from students. So I went to the school that got my attention because it was a really pretty school and they had many things and in there, so I was like, why not? I'm just gonna deliver my resume. And I got the call like two days later, sorry. And I remember I went to this other school that they had like 30 minutes away from where I live, and it was beautiful. It was, I won't deny, they had everything. You had everything to work. And I really, at some point, I like to be there because I didn't have to buy for any material to work with the kids. But I didn't like the fact that it was a very heavy environment, very negative. But I'm going to talk about that. So I really like it. I actually passed the interview and I was the English teacher for the kids. I was very honest about the fact that I didn't have any experience with kids that were so little. And, I the principal was very understanding, and she said that doesn't matter. She wanted to give me the opportunity because she liked my English and all the stuff. And I was like really happy because finally I had the chance to have a job that were more serious and they were offering a little bit more payment. And to summarize, when I started working, at first I felt a little bit uncomfortable because, as I didn't have any experience just working with big groups of little toddlers, it was so frustrating because sometimes when I asked them to do something, they just did the opposite. And they were evaluating how much of a control you have from the kids. And to me, that was, frustrating because I couldn't actually get the control of these kids. But I could start noticing that one of the teachers, she was kind of like attacking the new teachers, and that was not only with me. She was also like that with other new teachers. And there was a moment that we were all Wednesdays we went to the other school and we just start strolling because there was a very beautiful wood and a very beautiful park, and we were always strolling over there on Wednesday. So at the end of the day, we had to just put change the boots and put their shoes to the kids so we can deliver them really clean to the parents. And what happens that it was, to me, I didn't have any experience on dressing on a toddler. It's very difficult. Actually, it's really difficult to do so. So I was like struggling with that. And then she come up to me and she was like, do it fast you need just to work really fast. And that was not the way of approaching someone who you see that is struggling. They are starting just to do the job. So I was like, I didn't say anything, but I really hated that she said that and the way she said it. So that was the first thing that I saw, that I noticed that, oh my God, this is going to be really heavy here. So then with this same teacher, I remember that I was just working, in classroom, just trying to give my class because I had a planning, but then I ended up doing something different because the kids didn't allow me to do it because it was so difficult. Like I'm telling you, for real, it's so difficult just to work with kids at that age. And I was just struggling, and I just saw her there, and she was just staring at me, and she was like, with this look of, oh, poor thing. So she was never, willing to help me on anything. So the other thing that I remember that I had, it was so stressful, is that you had a lot of paperwork to do besides the one of, decorating the space. I remember that, that there were very positive things that I'm going to say at the end, because that's what I want you just to take into your mind. But I would like to talk about, you know, how you can also deal or face situations that are really unhealthy for your mind, even in your job environment. And what actually that did to me, and I'm talking about my story. And if you want to share it on your comments, you are, open to do it. You're welcome to do it. And I'm going to be more than glad to read them. So I do remember that I'm also, had a lot of paperwork to do before going home. I have to just leave the space really organized on, everything that I was supposed to do. Just, I was always really tired. And every time on Thursdays we had meetings where we had to present the planning to the principal, and she was never happy. She was never satisfied with any planning, and that was where everything began. Like, the abuse started with her because she was never satisfied with anything, and if she had an issue with you, she started just making your life really miserable by, saying things behind your back, and like talking with the other, whispering with the other teachers, maybe in front of you, and laughing, or making these poisonous comments on meetings when you have a something to say or your ideas about the class. She was like, I don't know, I don't like it. And she was always having this smooth voice. I'm sorry because I didn't say as she actually did. I don't know, teacher, I didn't like it. I don't know, I think you can change that. Or maybe she said like, oh, that was perfect. But then at the moment she started just to see your class, she always was saying that that was not actually working for the kids. So she was always gaslighting you and letting you know that you're never doing the things right. And that started to cause a lot of anxiety in me because at some point I thought I was going to be fired. And that was really common in the school. I am surprised that I actually got the chance of even working there for a year. But that was always like that school always was firing teachers all the time. And I could see that because not most of them couldn't even handle the pressure that meant to be there. And, I was always just trying to focus on working with kids with autism. I didn't have the training. And I remember that, the psychology of that institution, kindergarten, she was always with the principal. They were just hanging out, having some tea. She was in her office just having some tea with the principal while I was dealing with the kid that was with Asperger. And, I got really connected to this little kid, but it was so difficult because I wasn't trained to it, and they were expecting me just to make him eat and make him advance academically. So they ask you for things that are not possible for someone who is not even trained to that. And remember, I am the English teacher of these kids, so I was working with different groups. and things like that. And they were very responsible with the payment, I have to clarify, but it's the environment they created. And every time we had a meeting, we knew that some other teacher was always attacking the other, and giving this type of comments of how I'm better than you, or maybe it's that idea is not even working, or in front of the principal they will come up with things like, oh, teacher, I remember that you did this. I saw you during the week doing this with the student, and that's not okay in front of the principal. So there were things like you realize that they were, I don't know if they were fighting for the job position, but this is really normal. And when it comes to the environment, that is really, really heavy. And by the time of the last months that I stayed there, I remember that I always woke up feeling really anxious. I felt really stressed. I didn't even want to work there anymore. And at the end of the day, it was so draining. They were asking me for doing so many things. I had to decorate the library. I had to decorate the classroom. I had to also just take the paperwork. I remember I also had to just prepare another, planning where I had to prepare, cupcakes, or I don't know what kind of other dessert with the kids. So that was so overwhelming to me that I decided that the payment wasn't enough for the amount of job they are putting me, and the pressure and the way they ask for the things. And that's when I decided just to quit. And for me, that was the worst experience I have ever had when it comes to the environment of the job. But overall, for the other hand, I actually learned many things. I do appreciate the opportunity, because even though, in spite of having this negative situation with the other teachers and the colleagues, I could just learn a lot about children, how they behave, how you can manage a group, because at the end I could control them, and to cook, because they were really good at just creating some recipes and how can you apply that to the kids. I could cook, I could just be very good taking initiative to do the things. So there were many more things that I actually learned into working in the school. So not everything was bad, because I always like to look at the both sides of things. I'm not a complainer, but there were things that I have to acknowledge that were really toxic, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. And if you like the video, if you want to share some other experience about your job environment that you have ever had that leads you to feel a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, I want you to feel really welcome just to share it on your comment section. And if you like the video, I want you to subscribe. And I'm going to be more than open and willing to keep preparing material for you, and just to learn that these things are always going to be there in your life, but it's how you manage the situation that is going to make a big difference for you. And and like I always say, I do this with all my love, and I hope to see you in the next week. Bye bye.